When I was growing up, we never had a Nintendo. Instead, we had a Sega Master System, and the first game we ever bought for it was something called Master of Darkness. It's not a bad game, I spent many hours playing it, especially before we'd gotten any other titles for the system. A basic platformer with a storyline focusing on Victorian-era vampires, Jack the Ripper, haunted wax museums, and so on. I never did finish the game, but overall my memories with Master of Darkness are certainly positive. It's far from fantastic, but it's become a title I recall fondly from my youth. And so it wasn't until a great many years later that I discovered Master of Darkness was in fact a rip-off of another far more successful title on the competing Nintendo platform, a game called Castlevania. It's not a game I ever owned, and even today I've never played it. Over the years I've picked up a few titles in the series of varying degrees of quality, but none of which I've given the amount of attention they certainly deserve. However, it's recently become obvious to me that my choice to mostly ignore the Castlevania games, or at least the ones helmed by longtime series producer Koji Igarashi, has been a mistake on my behalf. You see, 505 Games recently sent me a review copy of Koji Igarashi's Kickstarter success, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, for the PlayStation 4, and now having played through the entirety of the game, I have to say that this is something entirely fantastic. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night fits snugly into the colloquial Metroidvania genre, of course being a descendant of one part of the genre's namesake. What this means is that our game begins with us exploring the world on foot at the typical pace of any side-scrolling platformer, but we're continuously teased with the fact that there are items, areas, and secrets outside of the player's reach. Progressing through the game, defeating bosses, and finding hidden items improves our ability to traverse the world, and before long we're revisiting areas, now able to take entirely new paths and expand the game world massively. Bloodstained delivers these abilities to Miriam, the player character, in the form of shards. Shards are dropped by enemies, bosses, or even found in the environment. Most shards simply act as enhancements which can be equipped, or magical spells that can be cast with a button press, or even thrown in a direction with the right analog stick. So when we kill an enemy which uses a bow and arrow, there's a chance we'll receive a shard, which can be equipped, allowing us to shoot arrows. Of course, defeating boss characters often has far greater rewards, and these shards are more likely to improve Miriam's ability to explore the game world through higher jumping, faster movement, and all sorts of esoteric skills. The majority of combat in the game involves equipping your favourite style of melee or ranged weapon, from which there are many to choose, and carefully delivering your attacks between backstep dodges, jumping, and ducking under the enemy's attacks. Combat never becomes particularly high-octane, and as long as you're putting a little effort into avoiding at least the heavily choreographed attacks, you're likely not to get stuck on any particular enemy or boss for more than a few retries. Special weapon techniques, each one exclusive to a few certain weapons, can be learned by reading tomes scattered throughout the game world, which once learned can be performed by inputting a quick series of button presses. Outside of combat, there's a small town in which Miriam can craft new equipment, prepare meals which can be consumed for health restoration or stat boosts, and carry out a few rudimentary quests, all of which will guide Miriam through the various aspects of crafting, cooking, and combat.
So, shall I take a little off the top?
We can even visit a barber shop to change Miriam's appearance, with different hairstyles being discoverable secrets along the way.
The look suits you fine.
Weapons and equipable accessories also show up visually on the player character during gameplay, which is something I'll always appreciate in any game.
Fascinating.
A few enemies will also drop shards, allowing us to choose a familiar which will follow us around, joining in on combat or providing some amount of support. These familiars will also become stronger as they level up through combat, and the shards containing them can also be upgraded back in town. The story of Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is a wholly unspectacular affair. Although I do appreciate the voice acting being of a caliber well and truly above average, the whole campaign is simply a vehicle to keep us exploring this incredibly compelling castle and scouting out every last secret along the way. That satisfaction of realizing you finally found a skill you need to reach what once seemed like unimaginable heights, depths, or hidden nooks is something few games manage to deliver so well. I took the time to unlock Bloodstained's Platinum trophy, and although some aspects of the challenge absolutely qualify for what would be considered a grind, I was enjoying the game far too much not to eke out every last little bit of content. I don't particularly go in for bonus modes like Boss Rush, but those features are there for players who want even more, as well as the promise of DLC to come. For now, I'm extremely happy with how surprised I was by this game, and maybe it's the inspiration I need to go take a look back at Koji Igarashi's previous work. In the meantime, I hope you found this video enjoyable, and you might choose to subscribe to keep up with what I'm playing if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, I'll see you next time.